may not be able to run, you may not be able to hide, but the Torah says that we have a place of refuge. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 4, the Torah portion Shoftim. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter number 9. Begin reading with verse 1 and go down to verse 6. When Yahweh your Elohim cuts off the nations whose land Yahweh your Elohim has given you, and you dispossess them and dwell in their cities and in their houses, separate 3 cities for yourself in the midst of your land, which Yahweh your Elohim has given you to possess. Prepare a way for yourselves and divide into 3 parts the border of your land, which Yahweh your Elohim has given you, to inherit, that any manslayer may flee there. In this matter of the manslayer who flees there and lives, he who strikes his neighbor unknowingly, not having hated him in the time past, even he who goes to the forest with his neighbor to cut timber, and his hand swings a stroke with the axe to cut down the tree, and the head slips from the handle and strikes his neighbor so that he dies. Let him flee to one of these cities and live, lest the revenger of the blood, while his displeasure is hot, pursue the manslayer and overtake him, because the way is long, and shall strike his being, though he is not worthy of death, since he had not hated him before. So Yah is situating within Israel places of refuge for those who unintentionally take someone's life. This is involuntary manslaughter. They are to be afforded a sense of security, but it's not automatic. And there are some instructions that are given that one may be able to find such a place. Now, there are 3 cities like this, east of the Jordan, in the land of Gad, Reuben, and half-tribe of Manasseh. On the west side, then, there are also 3 additional cities for a total of 6. The way that was leading to these cities, the roads, the byways, the paths to the cities, had to be maintained. The way had to be cleared of any debris, fallen trees, rock slides, etc., so that the one who was fearing for his life could run and get to the city. Now, once he got to the city, he would have to make his case to the elders who sat in the gate. It was not an automatic thing that anyone who just up and killed someone would find a place of refuge. This is not sanctuary, as has been portrayed in other situations. Rather, they would go and they would make their case. The manslayer, having found refuge, had to stay within the city walls for the entirety of the rest of his life, or at least until the high priest had passed away. The revenger or avenger of the blood. This is a near relative who is coming to avenge the blood of the one that has been slain. If he ever catches the manslayer outside the city walls, he has a right to take him. This happened, and it happened incorrectly. Joab, the relative of David, who was a commander of David's army, caught Abner outside the gates after Abner had slain his brother Asahel. And that was done during the midst of conflict of war. It was an act of war, not a personal killing. But Joab took a man's life. Not right, and he ended up paying with his own life because of that. So why this is not made into movies and why this is not a plot in feature films, I don't know. It's an amazing storyline. But here's what we can learn from this, and that is, number 1, that the way needs to be made plain to a place of refuge. Our congregations certainly should be a place of refuge, at least for those that are broken down, those that are wounded by life, those who have experienced tragedy, those who are sin-wrecked, etc. When someone's life is falling apart, they need the healing that can be found within the ranks of the body of Messiah. This is not to say that we just open our doors wide and, everybody's welcome, everybody come on in, no matter what. That seems to be the trend in today's society, at least among some denominations and groups, where it doesn't matter who you are or what you've done or how you continually choose to live. And that's the important part there. Come sit with us, learn with us, worship with us, and be a part of us. We're not mandating that you change. Well, because two things. Number one, we know it's hard to get over sin. And number two, the grace of our God is so sufficient. He overlooks all of our sins. This is a wrong identity of who we are walking before and who we're serving. So let's understand this, that the way needs to be made plain. The way needs to be made open. There is an opportunity afforded to those who are genuinely seeking our help. But we need to hear who they are and what their story is. Because when the Avenger of the Blood shows up in this story, he has a right to make his own case. And so they have to give a trial to see whether they should afford protection to this one or not. In the book of Isaiah, chapter number 40, verse 1 says, Comfort my people, says your Elohim. Speak to the heart of Jerusalem and cry out to her that her heart service is completed, that her crookedness is pardoned, that she's received from the hand of Yahweh double for all of her sins. And then notice verse number 3, the voice of one crying in the wilderness, prepare the way of Yahweh. Make straight in the desert a highway for our Elohim. Let every valley be raised, and every mountain and hill made low, and the steep ground shall become level, and the rough places smooth. This is wording teaching us that we need to create a smooth, viable, accessible a path that is able to be traveled upon to get to Yah. Yeshua's words in the book of Matthew, chapter number 7, verse number 13 and following says, Enter in through the narrow gate, because the gate is wide and the way is broad that leads to destruction, and there are many who enter in through it. Because the gate is narrow and the way is hard pressed, which leads to life, and there are few that find it. Yeshua says it's a hard place to find true refuge. It's not easily accessible. You're going to have to look for it. You're going to have to be willing to persevere. Now, something here is very interesting to us in chapter 7 of Matthew. Right after this, he says, But beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are savage wolves. By your fruits you shall know them. Why is that interesting? Well, it's that chapter 19 of Devarim is immediately connected to what was previously spoken, and that is to beware of the false prophets. Both sets of text connect the path that leads to righteousness, the path of refuge, the path of healing and restoration. It's vitally connected to the working of prophecy. Could it be that those that find the wrong path have been set on that path by people who claim to prophesy but are not speaking the truth? Key phrase there, are not speaking the truth. Yeshua himself says it is the knowledge of the truth that will set us free. We need the prophetic voice to decree and declare to us in our day what indeed is true, to be sure that we get on the right path that will lead us then to a place of refuge. Now, what is it about these cities that is important to us about one who has had such tragedy in their life? Refinement. These are Levitical cities. These are the places where those who teach clean and unclean live. The thought might be then that those who live and find refuge in such a place will be taught how to not make the foolish choices in their lives, the wrong decisions that they've made that has brought such havoc, but rather that they learn to live appropriately with a sense of propriety and understanding of truth, that they get away from fables and false stories and glamorous prophets and adhere to the validity of the teachings of the Torah. We'll think on these things and see you again tomorrow. Till then, shalom.